I just wanted to point out that we're showing that we're down over 19%. I actually went back and looked at November of last year's report, and we were down just under 10%, halfway, more than halfway through the year. I think there's a lot of concern that we should be continuing to address, especially with ordinances coming at us that are in the $1 million range. And then I just had a quick question. One of our union reps for the Findlay Fire Department is pretty adamant that we have not been deficit spending and that they don't think that's going to happen. And I guess my question for the auditor is, did the city deficit spend last year?
Question, and by any metric that I have been trained on, and that is the best practice approach to budgeting, the city deficit spent in 2024, yes.
Yes, so we are keeping a close eye on the income tax revenue as stated at the last meeting. We knew that the last couple of years we had seen pretty strong revenues, especially on the business side. We are expecting that to kind of continue to come down. This is year-to-year comparison, which is a good point. However, when you look at how we are trending based off of projection, we're slightly behind. However, we continue to expect that over the next couple of months, we have certain months that are stronger revenues. Again, it's not a linear revenue collection. We see strong months April, May. We see then October with delayed business filings, different things like that. We are continuing to watch it closely. The income tax administrator did decrease her projection by about $400,000, and then she did also share that she expects then the refund to also be decreased, her expense line item, later this year as she gets through that process. So we're continuing to watch it, also continuing to work with our departments to look at their expenses. I would note our interest earnings revenue is already met what the 2025 budget was. About $899,000 was the target, and through May we've hit that. So again, it's not making up for it, but I'm just pointing out that we are seeing some variances in other areas, and we'll continue to watch our expenses as we expect at all times. On the deficit spend, I would also just point out, as I called out over a couple of different meetings, our department operations would have returned money, but we had a couple of large expenditures that hit the books last year that were unbudgeted appropriations. That included the flood mitigation funds, the downtown recreation area, the fire truck at 1.6, as well as then the refund. So each of those things did count, and therefore we did dip into our general fund budget. However, they were not operational items. Those are the types of items that then come before you. Some of them, and that's why we try to keep that balance so that we have flexibility when those opportunities arise.
On the income tax, was that an update? I know at our last council meeting you mentioned that we were going to be getting some more numbers in to see if improved. Is that 400,000 de-appropriate?
So the 400,000 out of her expense budget has not occurred. She's waiting a little bit longer.
Okay.
But the revenue projections that she does and sends out to the income tax board, and I share with our department head, she did adjust her year-end projection down by 400,000. But if she then also changes her expense down by 400,000, those would pretty much even out. But again, we're watching the departments and going to continue to manage those expenses.
You presented that you wanted to change capital from an 80-20 to 90-10. Are you still pushing for that? And are you planning on doing another de-appropriation or giving an update to council in this quarter?
We'll have something. I don't think we'll have something this quarter. It'll just depend, again, as our departments have different expenses hit at different times, but we are continuing to watch that. For example, one of my line items related to travel, I had funds in there for a Japan trip. We're going to do a Japan trip. However, I'll have more clarity on what those expenses look like and may be able to get funds back. So things kind of evolve over time, and we'll continue to look for opportunities to do that. On the capital allocation, that is going to be a conversation with strategic planning, hopefully in the next couple of months. At this point in time, I'm still waiting for the revenue projections to be able to present that.
I think that should go to appropriations and not strategic planning.
Thank you.
It'll probably be combined.
Any
with both.
other
You're right.
questions or comments?